Right now, you're playing life with a mindset that's keeping you small. But once you steal the right one, you become unstoppable. This audiobook is your blueprint to destroy hesitation, rewire your mind for success, and take control of your future, starting today. The Secret Formula for Success. Audiobook. Introduction. Success isn't a gift, it's a theft. The most powerful people in the world have stolen something that changes everything, a mindset that makes them unstoppable, and you're about to steal it too. You've been sold a lie. The idea that success comes to those born with talent, blessed by luck, or granted special privileges. That some people are simply destined for greatness, while others are meant to watch from the sidelines. This comfortable fiction keeps you exactly where you are, waiting for permission you'll never receive. The truth? The people who dominate in life aren't waiting. They've seized control of their destiny by adopting a specific way of thinking that transforms obstacles into opportunities. This isn't about positive thinking or grinding yourself into dust. It's about rewiring your mind to operate like those who refuse to be denied. What separates the extraordinary from the average isn't intelligence, connections, or circumstances. It's their operating system, the mental framework they use to process challenges, make decisions, and take action. While others hesitate, they execute. While others complain, they adapt. While others quit, they find another way. This mindset isn't a natural gift. It's a learned skill, a strategic choice, a deliberate reprogramming of how you approach every aspect of life. The most successful people aren't born different. They simply think different. And starting right now, you can too. This audiobook is your guide to stealing that mindset, to rewiring your thoughts, habits, and actions until unstoppable becomes your default setting. Chapter 1. The Biggest Lie Holding You Back. Most people will never reach their full potential, not because they aren't capable, but because they believe a lie that keeps them small. This deception runs so deep that you might not even recognize it as a lie anymore. It feels like truth, like reality, like an immutable law of nature. But it's nothing more than an invisible cage you've accepted as home. Look around. How many people do you know who are living far below their potential? They have dreams, ambitions, and capabilities, yet they remain stuck in the same patterns, making the same excuses, waiting for something to change. Maybe you recognize yourself in this description. The question isn't whether you're capable of more. You are. The question is, what story have you been telling yourself about why you can't have it? The most dangerous lies are the ones we tell ourselves. I'm not ready. I don't have the right background. Someone like me can't do that. These aren't facts. They're fiction. But they become self-fulfilling prophecies, creating the very limitations they describe. Take Arnold Schwarzenegger when he first arrived in America. By conventional wisdom, he had everything working against him. A thick Austrian accent in Hollywood. No connections, no acting experience. When he announced his intention to become a leading man in movies, he was laughed at. Agents told him his name was too long, his accent too thick, his body too muscular for mainstream appeal. But Schwarzenegger understood something crucial. These weren't facts. They were opinions masquerading as facts. Instead of accepting these limitations, he turned them into advantages. His accent became his trademark. His unusual name became memorable. His physique set him apart. What others saw as barriers, he saw as differentiators. The result? He became one of the highest-paid actors in Hollywood, then a successful businessman, then the governor of California. Not because he was special, but because he refused to believe the lie that his circumstances determined his destiny. This pattern of learned helplessness is everywhere. It's reinforced by a society that profits from your self-doubt. that wants you to believe success is a matter of luck or privilege rather than deliberate action. The more you believe success is out of your control, the less likely you are to take the actions that create it. The truth? Success follows patterns. It leaves clues. It responds to specific actions and mindsets that anyone can adopt. But first, you have to break free from the lies holding you back. Take Liam, a first-generation immigrant who dreamed of starting his own technology company. For years, he believed he wasn't qualified enough. No Ivy League degree, no family money, no tech industry connections. He kept waiting to feel ready, to acquire more credentials, to somehow become worthy of success. Then one day, while reading about successful founders, he noticed something. Many of them had started before they were ready. They hadn't waited for permission or perfect circumstances. They had simply begun, learning and adapting along the way. This realization shattered his limiting beliefs. Liam stopped waiting and started building. He launched his company from his garage, made countless mistakes, but kept moving forward. Today, his company employs over 50 people and serves clients worldwide. The only thing that changed was his belief about what was possible. The lie keeping you small isn't external, it's internal. It's not your circumstances that limit you. It's your belief about what those circumstances mean. Every time you say, "I can't because," you're reinforcing a cage of your own making. Right now, take out a piece of paper. Write down the biggest lie you've been telling yourself about success, the one that feels most true, most unchangeable. Maybe it's about your age, your background, your education, or your circumstances. Write it down in detail. Now, look at what you've written. This isn't truth. It's a story you've accepted, a story that's been holding you back. Tear that paper up. Burn it if you can. As you destroy it, say out loud, "This lie no longer has power over me. I choose what's possible." This isn't just a symbolic gesture. It's a declaration of independence from the mental prison you've been living in. From this moment forward, you're no longer waiting for permission to succeed. You're no longer accepting limitations as facts. You're ready to see the world as it really is, full of opportunities for those brave enough to seize them. Your challenge, starting right now. Identify the biggest lie you've been telling yourself about success. Write it down. Then destroy it, burn it, rip it up, throw it away. Replace it with the truth. You are not limited. You are in control. Chapter 2. Manufacturing Unshakable Confidence. You're standing at the edge of your defining moment. Your heart pounds against your chest. Your mouth goes dry. The opportunity you've been waiting for stretches before you like an endless chasm. This is your shot. The interview that could change everything. The presentation that could launch your career. The conversation that could transform your life. But instead of stepping forward, you freeze. That familiar voice of doubt creeps in, whispering all the reasons you're not ready, not good enough, not worthy. In this moment, you're not just facing an external challenge. You're facing the ultimate internal battle, the war between who you are and who you could become. This isn't about skill or preparation. It's about something far more fundamental, the confidence to act when everything inside you screams to retreat. Think about the last time you held back, the idea you didn't share, the opportunity you let slip away, the connection you didn't make. Was it really lack of ability that stopped you? Or was it that devastating hesitation, that moment of doubt that made you question everything? Most people believe confidence is something you're born with, a genetic lottery that favors the fortunate few. They look at those who radiate self-assurance and assume they were blessed with some innate fearlessness, some natural immunity to doubt. This belief is more than wrong. It's dangerous. It's the very thing keeping you trapped in a cycle of hesitation and regret. Let's talk about Muhammad Ali, arguably the most confident athlete in history. His legendary proclamations of greatness, "I am the greatest, I said that even before I knew I was," weren't just boasts. They were deliberate acts of self-creation. Before he was Muhammad Ali, he was Cassius Clay, a young boxer from Louisville who understood something profound about confidence. It's not a feeling you wait for. It's a reality you create. Ali wasn't born with supernatural self-belief. He engineered it. Every morning he would look in the mirror and declare his greatness, not because he felt great, but because he understood that confidence is built through repetition, through consistent acts of courage, through deliberately programming your mind for success. When he said, "I am the greatest," it wasn't just showmanship. It was a systematic rewiring of his neural pathways. Science has shown that the brain can't distinguish between vividly imagined experiences and real ones. Every time Ali proclaimed his greatness, he was literally reconstructing his self-image, creating new neural patterns that would eventually become his default way of being. But here's what most people miss about Ali's story. His confidence wasn't just about what he said, it was about what he did. Behind those bold proclamations was a training regimen so intense it would break most people. He wasn't just talking himself into greatness, he was building the evidence to support his claims. This is the crucial formula. Bold declarations backed by consistent action create unshakable confidence. The science of confidence is clear. Self-efficacy, your belief in your ability to succeed, is the single strongest predictor of achievement. Not talent, not intelligence, not background or circumstances. Your belief in your capacity to succeed literally shapes what's possible for you. This isn't motivational fluff, it's neuroscience. When you act with confidence, your brain releases a cocktail of neurotransmitters that enhance performance, improve focus, and reduce anxiety. The more you practice confident behavior, the more your neural pathways adapt, making confidence your default state, rather than something you have to manufacture each time. But here's where most people get stuck. They wait to feel confident before they act. This is exactly backward. Confidence isn't the prerequisite for action. It's the result of action. Every time you step forward despite fear, every time you speak up despite doubt, every time you continue despite uncertainty, you're not just completing a task. You're literally rewiring your brain for courage. Take Isla, a software developer who used to panic at the mere thought of public speaking. Her hands would shake, her voice would quiver. She felt like an imposter every time she had to present her work. But instead of waiting to feel confident, she decided to engineer confidence through action. She started small, speaking up more in team meetings, then volunteering for small presentations. Each time, she would adopt the posture of confidence even when she didn't feel it. She would stand tall, speak clearly, and maintain eye contact, even as her heart raced. She learned to reframe her physical symptoms of anxiety, the racing heart, the sweaty palms, as signs of excitement rather than fear. Within 6 months, Isla wasn't just tolerating presentations, she was actively seeking them out. Her colleagues started coming to her for public speaking advice. The same person who once hid in the back of the room was now leading company-wide trainings. Not because she eliminated fear, but because she learned to act through it. This is the secret. Confidence isn't the absence of fear. It's the ability to act despite it. The most confident people you know still feel fear, still experience doubt, still wonder if they're good enough. The difference is they've trained themselves to act anyway. Here's how you start. First, recognize that confidence is a skill, not a trait. Just like any skill, it improves with deliberate practice. Every situation that makes you uncomfortable is not an obstacle. It's an opportunity to strengthen your confidence muscle. Second, adopt the physiology of confidence immediately. Your body doesn't just reflect your mental state, it creates it. Stand tall, shoulders back, chin up. Speak slowly and clearly. Make eye contact. Your body will literally convince your brain that you're confident. Third, rewrite your internal narrative. Instead of "I'm not ready" or "I might fail," tell yourself "I'm figuring this out," or "every attempt makes me stronger." Your self-talk creates your reality. Fourth, take immediate action. The longer you wait, the more time fear has to build its case against you. When an opportunity presents itself, count down from 5 and move. No hesitation, no debate, no waiting for permission. Chapter 3. The Dangerous Truth About Balance. The world tells you to find balance. That's why most people are mediocre. Every day, you're bombarded with messages about work-life balance, maintaining perspective, and keeping things in moderation. It sounds wise. It feels responsible. But this pursuit of balance is exactly what's keeping you trapped in mediocrity. Look at your life right now. You're probably juggling multiple priorities, trying to give equal attention to everything. A little bit of exercise here, some career development there, sprinkling in some family time, maybe a hobby or two. You're doing what everyone says you should do, being well-rounded. And where has it gotten you? Somewhere in the middle, somewhere safe, somewhere ordinary. This isn't just about time management, it's about energy, focus, and the fundamental misunderstanding of how extraordinary results are achieved. The myth of balance has created a generation of dabblers, people who know a little about a lot, but have mastered nothing. Consider Elon Musk's approach to building SpaceX. When asked about work-life balance, he famously worked 120-hour weeks and slept on the factory floor during critical phases of production. He wasn't seeking balance. He was pursuing something far more powerful: strategic obsession. While others maintained their comfortable schedules, he was revolutionizing space travel. The science behind achievement is clear. The human brain isn't wired for multitasking or divided attention. When you try to balance multiple priorities equally, you're actually forcing your brain to constantly switch contexts, depleting your mental resources and diminishing your effectiveness in everything you do. This is why people who attempt to master multiple skills simultaneously often end up proficient at none. But there's a crucial distinction between harmful obsession and strategic intensity. The key lies in understanding the difference between consuming obsession, which destroys, and productive obsession, which creates. Productive obsession is time-bound, goal-oriented, and purposeful. It's not about burning yourself out. It's about channeling your energy with laser focus toward specific outcomes. The most successful people in history understood this. They didn't achieve greatness by maintaining perfect balance. They achieved it by becoming temporarily imbalanced in pursuit of mastery. Think about Michael Phelps during his Olympic training years. His entire life revolved around the pool. Every meal, every hour of sleep, every decision was filtered through the lens of swimming excellence. This wasn't balance. It was strategic obsession, and it produced 28 Olympic medals. Noah, a software developer, spent years trying to have it all. He maintained a careful balance between his job, side projects, social life, and various hobbies. He was doing everything right according to conventional wisdom, but after 5 years, he realized he was still in the same position, making incremental progress in multiple areas, but excelling in none. Then he made a radical decision. For 6 months, he would focus exclusively on mastering artificial intelligence development. He cut out all non-essential activities. His friends called him crazy. His family worried he was becoming obsessive. But within those 6 months, he made more progress than in the previous 5 years combined. He built an AI application that caught the attention of major tech companies, leading to opportunities he never imagined possible. The key to Noah's transformation wasn't working harder. it was working differently. He understood that extraordinary results require extraordinary focus. Instead of trying to advance on multiple fronts simultaneously, he chose one battlefield and dominated it. This principle applies to every area of life. Want to transform your body? Stop trying to balance moderate exercise with your current lifestyle. Go all in for 90 days. Want to master a skill? Stop dabbling for 30 minutes a day. Immerse yourself completely for a focused period. Here's your challenge. For the next 7 days, choose one goal, just one, and pursue it with absolute intensity. Cut out all non-essential activities. No social media, no casual browsing, no balance. Go all in. Track every hour and ensure it serves your chosen objective. At the end of the week, compare your progress to what you typically achieve in a month of balanced effort. The results will shock you. Chapter 4. Building Mental Toughness, the Ultimate Competitive Edge. Imagine two people facing the exact same setback. One quits, complains, and never recovers. The other doubles down, learns from the pain, and comes back stronger. The only difference? Mental toughness. This isn't just about motivation or willpower. It's about developing an unshakable mindset that turns pressure into power. You've felt it before. That moment when everything seems to fall apart. A project fails. A relationship ends. A goal slips away. In these moments, your mind becomes your greatest ally or your worst enemy. Right now, you might be letting these challenges break you. But what if you could use them to build you? Mental toughness isn't just about enduring pain. It's about thriving because of it. The science is clear. Resilience isn't a trait you're born with. It's a skill you develop through specific mental training and deliberate exposure to challenges. Research found that mental toughness accounts for up to 25% of performance variance among elite athletes. But this isn't just about sports. It's about life. Observe Michael Jordan's journey. In 1978, he was cut from his high school varsity basketball team. For many, this would have been the end of the story. But Jordan's response to this setback would define his entire career. Instead of accepting defeat, he turned rejection into rocket fuel. He started showing up at the gym at 6 a.m. to practice before school. He played pickup games against anyone who would challenge him. When others went home, he stayed. When they rested, he worked. Getting cut was a wake-up call, Jordan later said. I knew I had to prove not just to others, but to myself that I belonged. This wasn't just about basketball. It was about developing a mindset that turned every obstacle into an opportunity. Jordan didn't just overcome the setback. He used it to forge mental toughness that would carry him through 6 NBA championships and countless high-pressure moments. The concept of anti-fragility, introduced by researcher Nassim Nicholas Taleb, explains why some people get stronger under pressure while others crumble. Anti-fragile systems don't just survive stress. They need it to grow. Your muscles get stronger under stress. Your immune system gets stronger when exposed to pathogens. And your mind, it gets stronger when faced with challenges, but only if you train it to respond the right way. This is where most people get it wrong. They try to avoid discomfort, thinking that strength comes from staying in their comfort zone. But mental toughness is like a muscle. It needs resistance to grow. Every time you face a challenge and push through, your resilience increases. Every time you feel like quitting but continue, your mental endurance expands. Here's how you start building this unshakable mindset. First, you need to reframe your relationship with discomfort. Stop seeing it as something to avoid and start seeing it as training. When you feel that resistance, that voice telling you to quit, that's not a warning sign. That's your opportunity to grow stronger. Start with small challenges. Take cold showers in the morning. Fast for 24 hours. Do the workout you've been dreading. Each of these micro-challenges builds your tolerance for discomfort. But more importantly, they teach your brain that you can handle more than you think. Next, develop what psychologists call stress inoculation. Just as a vaccine exposes you to a controlled dose of a virus to build immunity, you need to deliberately expose yourself to controlled doses of stress to build mental toughness. Set ambitious deadlines. Take on projects that scare you. Speak up when you'd rather stay quiet. Think about the story of Dante, a developer who used to crumble under pressure. Every time a client meeting approached or a deadline loomed, anxiety would paralyze him. He'd procrastinate, make excuses, and sometimes even call in sick. His career was stalling not because he lacked talent, but because he lacked mental toughness. Then Dante discovered the power of progressive stress exposure. He started small, volunteering to lead daily stand-up meetings. Yes, his voice shook at first. Yes, he felt uncomfortable. But each time he pushed through, he got stronger. He gradually took on bigger challenges, leading client presentations, managing critical projects, handling crisis situations. Within 6 months, Dante wasn't just managing stress, he was thriving under it. His colleagues started noticing how he stayed calm when others panicked. Clients commented on his confidence. His performance reviews skyrocketed. The same pressure that once broke him now energized him. The key to Dante's transformation wasn't avoiding stress. It was changing his relationship with it. He stopped seeing pressure as his enemy and started seeing it as his trainer. Every difficult situation became an opportunity to strengthen his mental toughness. You can do the same. Start viewing every challenge through this lens. How can this make me stronger? When you face rejection, ask yourself, what can I learn from this? When you feel overwhelmed, remind yourself, this is where growth happens. Here's your challenge for the next 7 days. Embrace something uncomfortable every single day. Start with these options. Day 1. Take a cold shower for at least 2 minutes. Day 2. Fast until dinner time. Day 3. Wake up 90 minutes earlier than usual. Day 4. Do that difficult conversation you've been avoiding. Day 5. Double your usual workout intensity. Day 6. Spend 1 hour working on your most challenging task. Day 7. Put yourself in a situation where you might fail publicly. Document how you feel before, during, and after each challenge. Notice how your tolerance for discomfort increases. Pay attention to how your mind adapts and strengthens. This isn't just about completing tasks. It's about building the mental toughness that will serve you in every area of life. Remember, mental toughness isn't about being fearless. It's about feeling the fear, feeling the discomfort, and pushing forward anyway. That's where true strength lies. That's where you'll find your edge. Chapter 5. Rewiring your mind. Breaking free from old programming. Right now, your brain is running on old software, programmed by past failures, societal conditioning, and outdated beliefs. But what if you could rewrite the code? Every thought pattern, every reaction, every instinct that holds you back is simply a program running in your neural hardware. And just like any software, it can be updated, optimized, and completely transformed. Think about how you respond to challenges. When faced with uncertainty, do you automatically retreat? When opportunity knocks, does your mind flood with reasons why you can't succeed? These aren't your true capabilities. They're merely outdated programming running on autopilot. The human brain contains roughly 86 billion neurons, forming trillions of connections. Each thought you think, each belief you hold, creates neural pathways. The more you repeat these patterns, the stronger these pathways become. This is why breaking old habits feels so difficult. You're literally fighting against well-worn paths in your brain. But here's where it gets interesting. Neuroplasticity, the brain's ability to reorganize itself by forming new neural connections continues throughout your life. This isn't just theory, it's hard science. Study shows that the brain can form new neural pathways and alter existing ones even into adulthood. Your current thought patterns aren't your destiny. They're just your default settings. Consider Jim Carrey's remarkable transformation. Before becoming one of Hollywood's highest-paid actors, he was a struggling comedian living in poverty. But instead of accepting this as his reality, he began an intentional process of mental reprogramming. In 1990, he wrote himself a check for $10 million for acting services rendered, dated it Thanksgiving 1995, and carried it in his wallet. He would drive up to Mulholland Drive every night, visualizing directors wanting his services. I would visualize having directors interested in me and people that I respected saying, "I like your work," Carrey revealed. But this wasn't just passive daydreaming. He combined visualization with relentless action, performing at comedy clubs night after night, refining his craft while maintaining an unshakable belief in his future success. By 1995, Carrey's earnings had surpassed $10 million. The check he wrote to himself wasn't just a piece of paper. It was a physical representation of his mental reprogramming. He had literally rewired his brain to expect success, to see it as inevitable rather than impossible. The key to Carrey's transformation wasn't just positive thinking, it was systematic mental reconditioning. He understood that the mind follows the most familiar path, unless deliberately directed elsewhere. This is where most people go wrong. They try to change their results without first changing their mental programming. Your brain is like a supercomputer, and your thoughts are the software it runs on. When you allow negative thoughts to loop continuously, you're essentially running a virus that sabotages your performance. But just as you can install new software on a computer, you can install new thought patterns in your mind. Start with pattern interruption. Every time you catch yourself in a negative thought loop, stop. Physical movement can help break the pattern. Stand up, change your posture, take deep breaths. Then, consciously replace the negative thought with an empowering alternative. Don't just think it, say it out loud. The auditory input creates stronger neural pathways. Next, leverage the power of visualization, but not the passive, wishful thinking kind. Engage all your senses. When visualizing your goals, feel the emotions, hear the sounds, see the details. This multi-sensory engagement creates stronger neural connections than mere thinking. Take the story of Maya, a marketing executive who spent years believing she wasn't creative enough for leadership roles. Every time a promotion opportunity arose, her mind would flood with doubts. I'm not innovative enough. Others are more qualified. I'll probably fail. This mental programming had created deep neural pathways of self-doubt. But Maya decided to rewrite her mental software. She started by identifying her trigger situations, team meetings where ideas were shared, performance reviews, project proposals. Then, she created new response patterns. Before every meeting, she would stand in power pose for 2 minutes, breathing deeply. When self-doubt emerged, she would immediately counter with evidence of past successes. She replaced, "I'm not creative enough," with, "I find innovative solutions daily." Instead of visualizing failure, she spent 10 minutes each morning visualizing herself confidently leading meetings, inspiring teams, and implementing successful strategies. The transformation wasn't instant, but it was profound. Within 6 months, her colleagues noticed the change. Her ideas, which she now shared without hesitation, began shaping company strategy. When a leadership position opened up, she pursued it without her usual self-sabotaging thoughts. Today, she leads the department's most innovative initiatives. Maya's story illustrates a crucial truth. Your current thought patterns are not your identity. They're just habits. and habits can be changed through conscious, consistent reprogramming. Here's how you start rewiring your own mental software. First, become aware of your current programming. For 1 week, track your thought patterns. What triggers negative thoughts? What stories do you tell yourself about your capabilities? What beliefs do you hold about success and failure? Then, design your new programming. Create specific replacement thoughts for each negative pattern. Don't just make them positive, make them believable and actionable. Instead of "I'm a failure," use "I learn and grow from every experience." Instead of "I can't do this," use "I figure things out step by step." Practice mental rehearsal daily. Spend 15 minutes each morning visualizing yourself embodying your new programming. See yourself responding to challenges with confidence, taking action despite fear, making decisions with clarity. The most powerful reprogramming happens during moments of elevated emotion. When you achieve something, no matter how small, amplify the feeling. Let your brain associate action with positive outcomes. This creates new neural pathways that make future action easier. Remember, your brain believes what you tell it repeatedly. Every thought is either reinforcing old programming or creating new pathways. Choose consciously. Chapter 6. Creating Unfair Advantages. How to Stack the Odds in Your Favor. Success isn't fair. The most powerful people in the world don't wait for opportunities. They create them. And they don't play by the same rules as everyone else. While others compete in crowded arenas, fighting for scraps, the truly successful find ways to tilt the playing field in their favor before the game even begins. You've been taught that success comes from working harder than everyone else. But look around. The world is full of people working themselves to exhaustion without breakthrough results. Hard work matters, but it's not enough. What separates those who break through from those who burn out isn't effort, it's leverage. Think about a lever. With the right positioning, a small force can move massive weight. This is how the most successful people operate. They don't just push harder. They find points of leverage that multiply their efforts. They create asymmetric advantages where small, strategic actions produce disproportionate results. Warren Buffett exemplifies this principle perfectly. Early in his career, he realized that trying to compete with day traders and market speculators was a losing game. Instead of playing that game, he created his own rules. While others fought for quick gains, Buffett developed an approach based on long-term value investing, a strategy few had the patience or discipline to follow. "I don't try to jump over 7-foot bars," Buffett famously said. "I look around for 1-foot bars that I can step over." This wasn't laziness, it was strategic brilliance. By focusing on undervalued companies with strong fundamentals, he created an unfair advantage that has produced unprecedented returns over decades. But Buffett's leverage went beyond his investment strategy. He positioned himself in Omaha, away from Wall Street's groupthink. He built a network of trusted business owners who brought him deals before they went public. He cultivated a reputation for integrity that made companies want to sell to him first. Each of these choices stacked additional advantages in his favor. The key insight isn't just that Buffett found leverage, it's that he systematically created it. He didn't wait for advantages to appear. He engineered them through strategic positioning and long-term thinking. This same principle applies in every field. The most successful people aren't just working harder, they're working differently. They find ways to create compound advantages that make success almost inevitable. Consider Leo, a graphic designer who spent years competing in the crowded market of general design work. Despite his talent and dedication, he struggled to stand out among thousands of equally skilled designers. Then he had a realization. Instead of competing in the oversaturated market of general design, he could create his own niche. Leo noticed that while many designers focused on typical business clients, Few specialized in the rapidly growing esports industry. He immersed himself in gaming culture, learned the specific visual language of different gaming communities, and positioned himself as the go-to designer for esports teams and streamers. This shift changed everything. Instead of competing with every designer on the internet, he created an unfair advantage through specialized knowledge and positioning. His deep understanding of gaming culture became a moat that general designers couldn't easily cross. Within a year, he had more work than he could handle, commanding premium rates because he wasn't just offering design skills. He was offering insider understanding of a specific market. Your unfair advantage might look different from Leo's or Buffett's, but the principle remains the same. Success isn't about playing the game better than everyone else. It's about playing a different game entirely. Start by examining your unique combination of skills, experiences, and positioning. What do you know that others don't? What can you access that others can't? Where can you stack multiple small advantages to create an unassailable position? Remember, the goal isn't to find a single big advantage. It's to create several small advantages that compound. Think of it like building a fortress. One wall might be breached, but multiple layers of defense make you virtually unstoppable. Stop playing by the rules everyone else is following. Identify one way you can create an unfair advantage for yourself this week, whether through strategy, relationships, or a shift in positioning. Take action on it immediately. Chapter 7: Breaking Free from the Prison of Hesitation. Right now, millions of people are stuck, not because they lack potential, but because they are trapped in invisible prisons of hesitation, self-sabotage, and excuses. The worst part? Most don't even realize they're stuck. You might be hearing this right now, nodding along, thinking about someone else who needs to hear this message. But pause for a moment. When was the last time you took decisive action toward your biggest goals without hesitation? When did you last push forward without waiting for permission, validation, or the perfect moment? The truth is, stagnation wears sophisticated disguises. It masquerades as careful planning, strategic waiting, or thoughtful consideration. You tell yourself you're being prudent, responsible, methodical. But deep down, you know the difference between legitimate preparation and perpetual postponement. Every day, your mind creates elaborate justifications for inaction. I'll start when I have more experience. I need to research more. The timing isn't quite right. These seemingly rational thoughts form the bars of your invisible prison, keeping you safely contained within the boundaries of what's comfortable and far from what's possible. This psychological trap isn't just about procrastination. It's a complex web of mental patterns that keep you stuck in a loop of intention without action. Scientists call this analysis paralysis, a state where overthinking actually prevents the brain from making decisions and taking action. The more you think about something, the less likely you are to do it. J.K. Rowling's journey illustrates this perfectly. Before Harry Potter became a global phenomenon, Rowling spent years trapped in her own mental prison. She had the story in her head, but fear, self-doubt, and practical concerns kept her from writing. She later revealed that her biggest obstacle wasn't lack of talent or opportunity. It was her own hesitation. It is impossible to live without failing at something, unless you live so cautiously that you might as well not have lived at all, Rowling said. This insight came after she hit rock bottom, when she finally realized that her fear of failure was ensuring her failure by default. What changed? She didn't suddenly become more talented. She didn't receive permission or validation. She simply decided that the pain of staying stuck exceeded the pain of potential failure. This mental shift, from planning to action, from someday to now, made all the difference. The psychology behind hesitation is fascinating. Research shows that the brain processes potential losses more intensely than potential gains. This loss aversion means you're naturally wired to avoid risks, even when the potential upside far outweighs the downside. But here's the crucial insight. The most successful people aren't fearless. They've just learned to act despite their fears. This brings us to the core truth. Hesitation isn't just a habit, it's an addiction. Every time you postpone action, you get a small hit of relief. The anxiety subsides, the pressure lifts. Your brain registers this as a reward, reinforcing the pattern. But like any addiction, the relief is temporary, while the cost is permanent. The solution isn't motivation or inspiration. Those are temporary fixes that fade as soon as reality hits. The answer lies in rewiring your response to uncertainty and discomfort. This requires specific strategies that break the cycle of overthinking and force immediate action. The first is the 2-second rule. When an opportunity or idea presents itself, you have 2 seconds to act before your brain starts generating excuses. This isn't about being reckless. It's about preventing analysis paralysis from taking hold. The moment you feel the impulse to act, move. Make the call. Send the email. Take the first step. Don't give your hesitation time to build its case. The second strategy is the identity shift. Instead of trying to motivate yourself to take action, focus on becoming someone who takes action. This isn't semantic wordplay. It's a fundamental reimagining of who you are. Rather than saying, "I should work out," embody the identity of someone who works out. Don't try to write. Be a writer. This shift eliminates the gap between intention and action, because you're no longer trying to do something. You're simply being who you are. The third approach is the burn the bridge method. This involves deliberately removing your safety nets and escape routes. Want to start a business? Quit your job. Want to write a book? Announce it publicly with a deadline. Want to get in shape? Pay for a year of training up front. When retreat isn't an option, your mind stops looking for exits and starts finding solutions. Elena's story perfectly illustrates these principles in action. For years, she dreamed of starting her own business. She read books, attended seminars, created business plans, everything except actually starting. Her preparations had become a sophisticated form of avoidance. One day she realized she had spent more time planning to start than it would have taken to actually build a successful business. This awareness hit her like a thunderbolt. She decided to apply the 2-second rule to every business-related decision for 1 week. When she had an idea for a potential client, she reached out immediately, before she could overthink the pitch. When she thought about creating a website, she bought the domain name on the spot. When someone asked about her services, she quoted a price without hesitation. The results were immediate and dramatic. Within days, she had her first clients. Within weeks, she had a functioning business. Not because she suddenly acquired new skills or knowledge, but because she stopped letting hesitation rob her of momentum. The most powerful insight from Elena's transformation wasn't just that action beats hesitation. It was that action actually eliminates hesitation. Each time she pushed through her initial resistance, the next step became easier. Her confidence grew not from thinking about what she could do, but from seeing what she had done. This is your moment of truth. Right now, you're carrying the weight of unrealized potential. You know exactly what you need to do. You've probably known for a while. The only question is, will you continue to let hesitation hold you hostage, or will you break free? Here's your challenge. Pick one thing you've been avoiding and do it within the next 24 hours. No overthinking, no excuses. Break the loop, once and for all. This isn't about the specific action you take. It's about proving to yourself that you can move from intention to action without letting hesitation take control. Chapter 8. Weaponizing Failure. Imagine two people face the same devastating failure. One lets it define them, spiraling into self-doubt and quitting. The other absorbs the lesson, sharpens their strategy, and comes back stronger than before. Which one are you? Every moment of greatness was preceded by countless moments of failure. Yet most people treat failure like a stop sign when it's actually a compass, pointing directly toward their next breakthrough. The difference between those who achieve extraordinary things and those who remain stuck isn't talent, luck, or circumstances. It's their relationship with failure. Your brain is hardwired to avoid failure at all costs. This made sense when failure meant becoming a predator's dinner. But in today's world, this protective instinct has become your biggest liability. While you're trying to avoid failure, your competitors are using it as rocket fuel. The science of failure resilience reveals something fascinating. The most successful people don't have fewer failures. They fail more frequently than everyone else. They just fail differently. They fail forward. Each setback becomes a data point. Each rejection a redirect. Each mistake a milestone toward mastery. Thomas Edison's journey to inventing the light bulb illuminates this principle perfectly. After thousands of failed attempts, a reporter asked if he felt like a failure. Edison's response changed how we should view setbacks forever. I have not failed 10,000 times. I have successfully found 10,000 ways that will not work. This wasn't mere positive thinking. It was a fundamental shift in how failure is processed and utilized. Edison didn't just persist blindly. He developed a systematic approach to extracting value from each failed attempt. Every non-working prototype provided crucial data that informed his next iteration. He wasn't failing. He was gathering intelligence. This approach transformed what could have been devastating setbacks into stepping stones toward his ultimate breakthrough. The key lies in understanding the failure-to-feedback model. When most people fail, they experience shame, self-doubt, and an overwhelming urge to quit. Their brain processes failure as danger, triggering the fight-or-flight response. But elite performers have rewired this response. They've trained themselves to process failure as feedback, valuable data that makes their next attempt more likely to succeed. This isn't about positive thinking or refusing to acknowledge disappointment. It's about developing a systematic approach to extracting value from every setback. Here's how. The failure review method forces you to analyze each setback with 3 questions. What worked? What didn't? What data can I extract? This transforms failures from emotional experiences into strategic advantages. The fail-fast approach accelerates your learning curve by intentionally seeking small, controlled failures early in any process. Instead of trying to avoid failure, you actively pursue it in safe environments where the stakes are low but the lessons are high. The 10x reframe pushes you to ask, how will this failure make me 10 times better? This shifts your focus from the immediate pain to the long-term advantage this setback could provide. Victor's story exemplifies these principles in action. As a professional basketball player, he missed the game-winning shot in the championship game. The failure was devastating, not just personally, but publicly. His initial instinct was to avoid watching the replay, to try to forget it happened. Instead, he applied the failure review method. He watched that missed shot hundreds of times, breaking down every detail. He noticed his shooting form had changed slightly under pressure. His breathing was irregular. His focus had shifted to the defenders instead of the rim. Rather than letting this analysis paralyze him, he used the fail-fast approach. He recreated high-pressure situations in practice, intentionally putting himself in positions where he might fail. Each miss became data. Each stumble became strategy. Through the 10x reframe, he began to see how this public failure could become his greatest advantage. He developed new training techniques specifically designed to maintain form under pressure. He created mental routines to manage high-stakes moments. The following season, he led his team in clutch scoring and secured the championship. The transformation wasn't in his physical abilities. It was in his relationship with failure. He stopped trying to avoid it and started trying to extract maximum value from it. The same failure that breaks some people became the foundation of his greatest success. Your challenge. Write down your last failure and identify 3 hidden advantages or lessons within it. Then, apply at least one of them to an upcoming challenge. Don't just listen to this transformation. Live it. Turn your next failure into fuel for your future success. Chapter 9. Execute now. Think later. You already know what you need to do, so why aren't you doing it? That question stings because deep down, you recognize the truth. Your greatest enemy isn't lack of knowledge, resources, or opportunity. It's hesitation. Every day, opportunities slip through your fingers, not because you can't seize them, but because you wait too long to act. You wait to feel ready. You wait for perfect conditions. You wait for permission or validation. And while you're waiting, someone else is taking action and claiming what could have been yours. This isn't about motivation. You've had enough motivation to fill a lifetime. This is about the gap between knowing and doing, the space where most dreams go to die. It's time to close that gap permanently. Your brain has evolved to make you hesitate. In prehistoric times, careful consideration before action meant survival. But in today's fast-moving world, that same protective instinct has become your biggest liability. While you're analyzing, planning, and waiting for the perfect moment, opportunities are passing you by. Jeff Bezos revolutionized decision-making at Amazon with what he calls Type 1 and Type 2 decisions. Type 2 decisions are reversible, like testing a new product feature. These can be made quickly because if they're wrong, you can always go back. Type 1 decisions are nearly impossible to reverse, like selling your company. Most people treat every decision like it's Type 1, paralyzing themselves with analysis. Bezos discovered that 90% of decisions are Type 2, yet people waste enormous time and energy approaching them like they're Type 1. His solution? Make Type 2 decisions quickly, almost immediately. This approach helped Amazon move at unprecedented speed while competitors got stuck in analysis paralysis. The science of decision-making reveals something crucial. The brain experiences similar stress when making small decisions, what to eat for lunch, as it does with big ones, whether to change careers. This explains why people often freeze even on trivial choices. Their brain is treating every decision as potentially life-threatening. But here's what's fascinating. Research shows that action itself reduces anxiety. The moment you start moving, your brain shifts from threat response to problem-solving mode. You don't need to feel ready to act. Action creates readiness. This leads us to the action over emotion principle. Emotions follow action, not the other way around. Most people wait to feel confident before they act. But confidence isn't a prerequisite for action. It's a result of action. The 5-minute rule leverages this principle. Instead of waiting to feel motivated, commit to just 5 minutes of action. Once you start moving, momentum takes over. The resistance that seemed overwhelming before you began often disappears entirely. The point of no return technique forces action through public commitment. When you announce your intentions to others, you create social pressure that overrides internal resistance. This isn't about seeking approval. It's about using external accountability to push through internal barriers. The reverse timeline method eliminates the someday trap. Instead of starting with today and looking forward, which allows for endless postponement, start with your goal and work backward. This creates urgency by showing exactly what needs to happen when, making procrastination impossible. Theo's story illustrates these principles in action. As a developer, he had a brilliant idea for an app but spent months preparing to build it. He created detailed plans, researched endlessly, and waited for the right time to start coding. One day, he realized someone else had launched almost the exact same app he'd been planning. The pain of this missed opportunity forced him to confront his pattern of overthinking. He decided to apply the action over emotion principle to his next idea. Instead of planning extensively, he committed to coding for just 5 minutes each morning before work, the 5-minute rule. He told his entire social network about his project, point of no return. He set a launch date and worked backward, creating specific deadlines for each feature, reverse timeline method. The result? Within 6 weeks, he had a working prototype. It wasn't perfect, but it was real. He could now gather actual user feedback instead of theorizing about what might work. His imperfect action produced more results than months of perfect planning. The key shift wasn't in his abilities. It was in his approach to action. He stopped treating every decision like it was irreversible. He learned to move before he felt ready. Most importantly, he discovered that action itself dissolves the very fears that caused him to hesitate. This same principle applies to every area of life. The conversation you need to have? Make the call before you can talk yourself out of it. The business you want to start? Take one concrete step today before doubt creeps in. The change you want to make? Act now, while the impulse is strong. For the next 24 hours, implement the 5-4-3-2-1 rule. When you notice yourself hesitating on any action, sending an email, making a call, starting a workout, count down from 5. When you hit 1, move immediately. No exceptions, no delays. This rewires your brain to act before resistance can build. Watch what happens when you stop waiting for perfect conditions and start creating your own momentum through immediate action. The person you want to become exists on the other side of hesitation. It's time to bridge that gap. Chapter 10. Strategy Beats Struggle. 2 people go after the same goal. One works tirelessly, grinding for years with little to show for it. The other reaches the finish line in half the time with half the effort. What's the difference? Strategy. You've been taught that success comes to those who work the hardest, that persistence and determination are the keys to achieving your dreams. But look around. The world is full of people working themselves to exhaustion without breaking through. Hard work isn't enough. Those who truly dominate don't just outwork everyone, they outthink them. Think of success like a game of chess. The amateur sees only the next move, reacting to what's in front of them. The grandmaster sees 10 moves ahead, positioning pieces strategically, creating opportunities before they're obvious. This isn't about working less. It's about working smarter, with purpose and precision. The most dangerous trap in pursuit of success is the belief that effort alone will get you there. This mindset creates martyrs of mediocrity, people who wear their struggle like a badge of honor while others pass them by. You don't want to be the hardest worker. You want to be the smartest player. Elon Musk demonstrates this principle perfectly. While traditional auto manufacturers were focused on incremental improvements to existing technology, Musk looked decades ahead. He didn't just create a better car, he positioned Tesla at the intersection of multiple emerging trends: sustainable energy, autonomous driving, and software integration. This strategic foresight allowed him to capture market share not through superior resources or effort, but through superior positioning. When competitors were still thinking about electric cars as niche products, Musk was already planning charging infrastructure, battery production facilities, and software ecosystems. He wasn't just working hard, he was playing an entirely different game. This is tactical intelligence in action. The science of strategic thinking reveals something crucial. The brain consumes massive energy when making decisions under pressure. This explains why most people default to familiar patterns even when they're ineffective. They're conserving mental energy by sticking to what they know, even if it's not working. But here's what's fascinating. Research shows that strategic planning actually reduces cognitive load over time. When you develop a clear strategy, your brain doesn't have to constantly evaluate every decision. You move with purpose rather than reacting to circumstances. This leads us to the positional advantage principle. Success becomes nearly inevitable when you position yourself where multiple favorable factors intersect. Instead of fighting upstream, you place yourself where the current naturally carries you toward your goal. The 80-20 strategic framework helps identify these positions. In any field, 80% of results come from 20% of actions. Most people focus on the 80% that produces minimal results. Strategic thinkers identify and exploit the vital 20%. Asymmetrical thinking leverages this principle further. Instead of trading time for results in a linear fashion, look for actions that produce exponential returns. One strategic partnership might accomplish more than years of grinding alone. The reverse engineering method eliminates wasted effort. Start with your end goal and work backward, identifying the minimum necessary steps. This prevents the common trap of motion without progress, staying busy without moving closer to your objective. Controlled unpredictability keeps competitors off balance while maintaining your strategic advantage. When others can predict your moves, they can block your path. By maintaining strategic flexibility while following your core plan, you force them to react to you, rather than the other way around. Nia's story illustrates these principles in action. As a digital marketing consultant, she spent 2 years working 80-hour weeks, taking every client she could find, and constantly feeling overwhelmed. Despite her incredible work ethic, she barely stayed afloat. Everything changed when she applied strategic thinking to her business. Instead of trying to serve everyone, she reverse-engineered her ideal scenario, working with fewer, higher-paying clients in a specific industry. She identified the vital 20% of her activities that produced 80% of her results. Using the positional advantage principle, she positioned herself at the intersection of 3 trends: the rise of e-commerce, the growing importance of data analytics, and the increasing need for personalized marketing. This allowed her to command premium rates while working less. She employed controlled unpredictability by developing unique methodologies that competitors couldn't easily copy. Instead of competing on price or effort, she created a category of her own. Within 6 months, she tripled her income while cutting her working hours in half. The key shift wasn't in how hard she worked. It was in how strategically she positioned herself. She stopped trying to outwork everyone and started outthinking them. Most importantly, she discovered that strategy multiplies the effect of every hour worked. This same principle applies to every goal. The promotion you want? Instead of just working longer hours, position yourself where your company's future needs intersect with your unique skills. The business you want to build? Rather than competing in oversaturated markets, find the gap that will be valuable tomorrow. Chapter 11. The Fire of Momentum. Momentum is like fire. If you feed it, it spreads uncontrollably. If you neglect it, it dies. Right now, you're either building unstoppable force or watching your potential fade away. There is no middle ground. Think back to a time when everything clicked, when progress felt effortless, when one win led to another, when you felt truly unstoppable. That wasn't luck. That was momentum. Now think of the times when you struggled to start, when progress felt like pushing a boulder uphill. The difference wasn't your capability. It was your momentum. Most people approach success like sprinters in a marathon. They burst forward with intensity, powered by motivation and excitement, only to crash when that initial energy fades. They don't understand that sustainable success isn't built on motivation, it's built on momentum. The success velocity principle reveals why some people seem to achieve more with less effort. Once an object is in motion, it requires far less energy to keep it moving than to start it from rest. The same applies to achievement. The key isn't working harder, it's maintaining constant forward movement. Usain Bolt, the fastest man in history, embodies this principle perfectly. Many assume his success came from raw talent or intense race day performance. The truth? His dominance was built on maintaining momentum year-round. Even during off-seasons, he never allowed himself to completely stop. He understood that maintaining 80% speed was far more effective than repeatedly starting from zero. "The hardest part isn't training when I feel good," Bolt once explained. "It's training when I don't feel like it, because I know that's what keeps me ahead." He didn't rely on motivation. He built a system of momentum that carried him through both peaks and valleys. The science behind momentum is fascinating. Research in behavioral psychology shows that the brain creates stronger neural pathways through consistent action rather than sporadic intensity. A study found that habits become automatic through steady repetition, not through occasional bursts of effort. This explains why most New Year's resolutions fail by February. People rely on motivation, a finite resource, rather than building momentum, which becomes self-sustaining. Motivation is like a match. Momentum is like a blazing fire that feeds itself. The compound momentum effect demonstrates why consistent small actions outperform irregular large ones. Each action builds upon the last, creating exponential rather than linear progress. This is why someone who exercises for 30 minutes daily for a year achieves better results than someone who works out for 2 hours sporadically. The 48-hour rule emerges from this understanding. Never let more than 2 days pass without taking action toward your goal. This isn't about intensity. It's about consistency. Even a small step maintains the flame of momentum, while complete inaction allows it to die. Micro-win stacking accelerates this effect. Instead of waiting for major achievements, create daily opportunities for small victories. Each win, no matter how minor, reinforces your momentum and strengthens your success identity. Consider how a space shuttle uses most of its fuel during launch, but needs only minimal energy to maintain orbit. Your success follows the same principle. The initial push requires immense effort, but once you achieve momentum, maintaining it becomes natural. Jake's story illustrates this transformation perfectly. As a coder, he had a pattern of starting projects with intense enthusiasm, only to abandon them weeks later. His GitHub account was a graveyard of half-finished ideas. The problem wasn't his coding ability, it was his approach to progress. Everything changed when he discovered the power of momentum. Instead of trying to build entire applications in weekend coding marathons, he committed to writing at least 10 lines of code every day. It seemed almost too easy at first, but he stuck to the 48-hour rule religiously. The results transformed his work. Those daily 10 lines often turned into hours of focused coding once he got started. Projects that previously died in the ideation phase began reaching completion. His consistency attracted collaborators who saw him as reliable rather than sporadic. Most importantly, he broke free from the motivation trap. "I used to wait until I felt inspired to code," Jake explained. "Now I understand that action creates inspiration, not the other way around. Momentum is my fuel." The habit chaining technique became his secret weapon. He linked his coding sessions to his morning coffee routine, a habit that was already automatic. This eliminated the daily decision of when to code, making consistency effortless. Within 6 months, he had launched 3 successful applications and built a thriving user base. His success wasn't due to working longer hours or learning new technologies. It came from understanding that steady momentum beats sporadic intensity every time. You face the same choice right now. You can continue the start-stop cycle that keeps most people stuck, or you can build unstoppable momentum. The difference lies in your daily decisions. The momentum multiplier method makes this practical. First, identify your minimum effective dose, the smallest action that maintains momentum. This isn't about being ambitious, it's about being unstoppable. Make it so easy you can't say no. Next, implement the 48-hour rule ruthlessly. Track your actions daily. The moment you notice a day without progress, take immediate action, no matter how small. Remember, maintaining momentum is easier than regaining it. Finally, stack your wins strategically. Create a daily scorecard of micro-achievements. Let each small victory fuel the next, building an unstoppable chain of momentum. Your challenge starts now. For the next 30 days, track your momentum daily. Never let 2 days go by without progress. Watch how consistency changes everything. Start with something so small it seems almost insignificant. But start today. The fire of momentum awaits your first spark. Chapter 12. The Identity Revolution. If success was a person, would they act like you? Would they hit snooze 5 times each morning? Would they make excuses when things get hard? Would they let fear stop them from taking action? The truth is painful but necessary. Your results aren't just about what you do. They're a direct reflection of who you believe you are. Most people try to change their lives through willpower and motivation. They push themselves to work harder, to follow strict routines, to force new habits. But they're attacking the wrong problem. Your actions don't create your identity. Your identity creates your actions. Think about this. When you see yourself as someone who struggles with discipline, what happens? You naturally act in ways that confirm that belief. When you identify as someone who isn't good with money, guess what? Your financial decisions automatically align with that self-image. Your identity is the invisible force directing every choice you make. The self-image loop explains why most people stay stuck. Your current identity creates thoughts and actions that reinforce who you believe you are. It's a self-fulfilling prophecy that either lifts you higher or keeps you trapped, depending on how you see yourself. Kobe Bryant's transformation into the Black Mamba perfectly illustrates the power of identity shifting. He didn't just adopt a nickname, he completely reconstructed his self-image. When I step on that court, I become that. I am that killer snake, he explained. This wasn't mere visualization or positive thinking. It was a fundamental reimagining of who he was at his core. The results were undeniable. His training intensity increased naturally because that's what the Black Mamba would do. His ability to perform under pressure improved because that's who the Black Mamba was. He didn't have to force himself to work harder. His new identity made excellence inevitable. This explains why some people seem to achieve success almost effortlessly, while others struggle despite working twice as hard. The effortless achievers have aligned their identity with success. They don't have to push themselves to take action because that's simply who they are. The science behind identity-based transformation is fascinating. Studies in neuroplasticity shows that the brain physically restructures itself based on our self-concept. When you shift your identity, you literally rewire your neural pathways to support your new way of being. This is why affirmations alone don't work. Repeating "I am successful" while maintaining the identity of someone who struggles creates cognitive dissonance. Your brain rejects the contradiction. Real transformation requires a complete identity overhaul. The identity shift method provides a systematic approach to this transformation. First, you must understand that your current identity was constructed. It's not your true nature. It's a collection of beliefs, often installed by others, that you've accepted as truth. Start by auditing your identity statements, the ways you automatically complete the phrase, "I am." These reveal your current operating system. Do you see yourself as someone who always procrastinates, can never stick to anything, or isn't cut out for success? These aren't facts. They're programming that can be rewritten. The Elite Identity Framework shows how to construct a new self-image that makes success automatic. Instead of forcing yourself to act differently, you simply become someone for whom high achievement is natural. Layla's story demonstrates this principle in action. As a marketing professional, she had always seen herself as just another employee, someone who did good work but would never stand out. This identity kept her playing small, even though she had innovative ideas. Her transformation began when she realized her actions weren't the problem. Her self-image was. Instead of trying to force herself to be more assertive, she reconstructed her identity as an industry innovator. She started asking herself, what would an industry leader do in this situation? The shift was dramatic. She naturally began speaking up in meetings because that's what an innovator does. She started sharing her ideas publicly because that aligned with her new identity. She even changed how she dressed and carried herself, not through forced discipline, but because it felt authentic to who she had become. Within 6 months, she had launched a revolutionary campaign that transformed her company's market position. Her colleagues were amazed by her sudden confidence and creativity. But nothing was sudden. She had simply become someone new. The Environment Alignment Protocol accelerates this transformation. Your surroundings either reinforce your new identity or pull you back to your old self. Audit your physical space, your relationships, your daily routines. Do they reflect who you're becoming or who you're leaving behind? The language upgrade system is equally crucial. Words create neural pathways. Eliminate phrases like, I'll try, hopefully, and maybe someday. Replace them with the language of certainty. I will, I am, when I. Your brain adapts to match your words. The identity embodiment method takes this further. Instead of waiting to feel different, you act as if you're already the person you're becoming. This isn't pretending. It's practice. Every action either strengthens or weakens your new identity. Start with small identity shifts in low-stakes situations. How would a highly successful person order their coffee? How would they respond to minor setbacks? These seemingly insignificant moments are actually identity reinforcement opportunities. The 7-day identity sprint creates rapid transformation through total immersion. For 1 week, you fully embody your new identity in every situation. You make decisions, respond to challenges, and interact with others as if you're already the person you're becoming. This isn't about faking it until you make it. It's about claiming your new identity so completely that your old self becomes the fake one. Success becomes inevitable because anything else would contradict who you are. Your challenge starts now. For the next 7 days, act as if you are already the person who has achieved your goals. Every decision, every action, execute from that level. Watch how the world responds to the new you. Chapter 13. Burn the Boats. In 1519, Hernán Cortés and his men arrived on the shores of Mexico. Outnumbered and deep in enemy territory, his soldiers had every reason to retreat. But then, Cortés gave an order that would change everything. He burned the boats. There was no way back, only forward. And because of that, they won. When you keep a safety net, you're telling your brain that failure is an option. Every backup plan, every escape route, every just-in-case scenario weakens your resolve. It's not strategy, it's permission to quit. The psychology of total commitment reveals why some people achieve the impossible, while others stay stuck in mediocrity. When your brain knows there's no way back, it stops wasting energy on escape routes and starts focusing on solutions. This isn't just motivation, it's survival. The moment you eliminate your backup plans, something shifts in your mind. The same obstacles that once seemed insurmountable become merely challenges to overcome. Your brain, knowing retreat is impossible, begins finding ways forward that it never would have considered before. Will Smith exemplifies this mindset perfectly. At age 18, he turned down a scholarship to MIT, his safe path to a secure future. Instead, he pursued his dream of becoming a rapper and actor, knowing that if he kept college as a backup plan, he might not give everything to his true passion. I just decided that I was going to be one of the biggest movie stars in the world, he said. This wasn't arrogance. It was the clarity that comes from burning the boats. The science behind this phenomenon is fascinating. Studies show that when people have backup plans, they unconsciously reduce their effort toward their primary goal. It's called goal dilution. The mind divides its resources between multiple potential outcomes instead of focusing all its energy on one path. This explains why so many talented people never reach their potential. They keep their options open, thinking it makes them safer. But in reality, it makes them weaker. Every escape route is a leak in their motivation, draining energy that should be focused on moving forward. The Total Commitment Protocol provides a systematic approach to eliminating these leaks. First, identify all your backup plans, both conscious and unconscious. These might be the job you're keeping, just in case, the relationship you're maintaining as a fallback, or the excuses you've prepared to explain potential failure. Next, create what psychologists call point-of-no-return moments. These are decisive actions that make retreat impossible. Cortez burned his boats. Will Smith turned down MIT. What will your point of no return be? Jonah's story illustrates this principle perfectly. As an accountant, he had spent years working on his startup idea while keeping his corporate job as a safety net. He made some progress, but never enough to break through. His backup plan was slowly killing his dream. Everything changed when he finally understood the cost of keeping his options open. He wasn't just protecting himself from failure, he was preventing his own success. In a moment of clarity, he resigned from his job, publicly announced his commitment to his startup, and gave himself exactly 12 months to make it work. The transformation was immediate. Without the comfort of a backup plan, his mind stopped searching for excuses and started finding solutions. Problems that had seemed overwhelming became puzzles to solve. His productivity tripled. His decision-making became sharper. Within 6 months, he had achieved more than in the previous 3 years combined. The environment purge accelerates this transformation. Look around your life. What objects, relationships, or habits represent potential escape routes? These might be as simple as keeping your old job's contact information or as complex as maintaining relationships that pull you back to your old identity. The accountability lock system creates external pressure that makes retreat socially and emotionally costly. Share your commitment publicly. Put money on the line. Create consequences for backing out that are more painful than pushing forward. Start with small experiments in burning boats. Choose a minor goal and eliminate all backup plans. Watch how your mind responds when it knows failure isn't an option. Then gradually apply this to bigger areas of your life. Remember, having no way back doesn't mean being reckless. It means being so committed to moving forward that retreat becomes irrelevant. It's about closing doors so completely that your only option is to find a way through. Your challenge starts now. What's your backup plan? Eliminate one safety net today. Make it impossible for yourself to turn back. Commit fully and watch how your drive multiplies. Chapter 14. The Comfort Trap. Right now there are 2 versions of you. One is hungry, striving, pushing limits. The other is comfortable, coasting, and slowly declining. Which one are you feeding? Most people don't realize they're trapped until it's too late. Comfort sneaks in gradually, disguised as reward, as achievement, as finally making it. But here's the brutal truth. The moment you start prioritizing comfort over growth, you've begun your decline. Think about your muscles. When they're comfortable, they're shrinking. The same principle applies to every aspect of your life, your mind, your skills, your potential. Comfort isn't neutral, it's negative. It's actively eroding your edge. The law of adaptation explains why this happens. Your brain and body are designed to conserve energy, to find homeostasis. When you achieve any level of success, your system immediately starts adjusting, making that new level feel normal, comfortable. And once something becomes comfortable, you stop growing. David Goggins exemplifies the antidote to this trap. As a Navy SEAL, ultra-marathon runner, and world record holder, he could have rested on his achievements. Instead, he deliberately seeks out discomfort every single day. The comfort zone is where dreams go to die, he says. When most people would be satisfied with running a marathon, Goggins runs 100-mile races. When most would celebrate becoming a SEAL, he pursued Army Ranger School. He understands that comfort is the enemy of greatness. The science behind this is fascinating. Research shows that neurons only form new connections when challenged beyond their current capacity. In other words, your brain only grows when it's uncomfortable. This explains why so many people plateau after initial success. They stop pushing into discomfort. But there's an even deeper psychological principle at play: hedonic adaptation. This is your mind's tendency to return to a baseline level of satisfaction, regardless of positive changes in your life. That promotion you worked so hard for? Within months it feels ordinary. That dream house? Soon it's just where you live. Unless you consciously fight this tendency, you'll find yourself trapped in a cycle of diminishing returns. The discomfort protocol provides a systematic approach to breaking free from this trap. First, audit your life for areas where you've settled into comfort. Look for signs like decreased learning, automated routines, or a lack of nervous excitement in your daily activities. Next, implement strategic discomfort. This isn't about making life needlessly hard. It's about intentionally challenging yourself in ways that drive growth. Start with your morning routine. If you normally wake up at 7 a.m., make it 5 a.m. If you work out for 30 minutes, push it to an hour. Each small push creates momentum. Monica's story illustrates this perfectly. After building a successful consulting business, she noticed her drive starting to fade. Her income was stable, her routine comfortable, and her growth had flatlined. She was living what most would consider a dream life, but something felt off. The turning point came when she realized comfort had become her prison. She had stopped taking risks, stopped learning new skills, stopped pushing boundaries. Her business wasn't growing anymore, it was maintaining. And maintenance is just slow decline. She implemented the discomfort protocol immediately. First, she committed to learning one new skill every quarter, something completely outside her expertise. She started with coding, then public speaking, then a new language. Each new challenge forced her brain to form new neural pathways. Next, she raised her standards dramatically. Instead of being satisfied with her current client base, she set a goal to double it in 6 months. This meant facing rejection, learning new marketing strategies, and pushing way beyond her comfort zone. The discomfort was immediate, and so was the growth. The elevation method accelerates this transformation. Look at your current goals. Whatever they are, double them. If you want to make $100,000 this year, make it $200,000. If you want to read 20 books, make it 40. The specific number isn't important. What matters is pushing beyond what feels comfortable. The pressure test system creates accountability for maintaining discomfort. Share your elevated goals publicly. Put money on the line. Create consequences for settling back into comfort that are more painful than pushing forward. Start with small experiments in discomfort. Take cold showers. Fast for 24 hours. Speak to strangers. Watch how your mind responds when pushed outside its comfort zone. Then gradually apply this to bigger areas of your life. Remember, comfort isn't your friend. It's a subtle adversary, constantly trying to pull you back to mediocrity. Every time you choose comfort over growth, you're feeding the version of yourself that's in decline. Chapter 15. Breaking Through Your Ceiling. Most people will die with their potential still inside them. This isn't just a motivational statement, it's a statistical reality. Right now, you're using only a fraction of your capabilities, settling for a version of success that feels comfortable rather than pushing toward what's truly possible. Think about the dreams you had when you were younger, the ambitions that felt limitless. When did you start scaling them back? When did realistic become your default setting? The tragedy isn't that people fail to reach their goals, it's that they deliberately shrink their goals to match their current circumstances. The ceiling effect explains this phenomenon. Your brain creates artificial limits based on past experiences, societal expectations, and self-imposed boundaries. These invisible barriers become self-fulfilling prophecies, causing you to stop pushing just when breakthrough is within reach. Oprah Winfrey's journey exemplifies what happens when someone refuses to accept these limitations. Born into poverty in rural Mississippi, she faced every imaginable obstacle. Society had clear expectations for what someone of her background could achieve. But Oprah didn't just break through one ceiling. She shattered every limitation placed in her path. From local news anchor to national talk show host to media mogul, each time she reached what others considered the peak, she saw it as merely a platform to reach higher. When television wasn't enough, she built a media empire. When that empire was established, she created a network. When others would have retired, she kept expanding her influence and impact. The science behind breakthrough is fascinating. Research shows that the moment before breakthrough often feels like failure. This is why most people stop. They mistake the pressure of expansion for the signal to retreat. But this pressure is actually your potential demanding expression. The perpetual student mindset is your first tool for breaking through ceilings. Most people stop learning once they achieve competence. But those who dominate never stop expanding their knowledge. They maintain a beginner's mind even at expert levels, always asking, "What don't I know? What could I do better?" The 10x expansion principle provides your second tool. Whatever goal you've set, multiply it by 10. This isn't about being unrealistic. It's about forcing your mind to operate at a higher level. When you aim for 10x, you stop thinking in terms of incremental improvements and start considering quantum leaps. Derek's story illustrates this transformation perfectly. As a mid-level manager, he had reached what everyone considered a respectable position. His family was proud. His peers respected him. He had achieved what society would call success. But something felt off. Deep down, he knew he was capable of more. The problem wasn't his abilities. It was his thinking. He had unconsciously accepted the ceiling that his environment had placed on him. The turning point came when he realized that his realistic goals were actually his limitations in disguise. He had been setting targets based on what seemed achievable rather than what was possible. Once he removed these self-imposed constraints, everything changed. He stopped asking, "What's the next logical step?" and started asking, "What's the absolute maximum I could achieve?" This shift in thinking led him to take bold actions that his previous self would have dismissed as unrealistic. Within 18 months, he had launched his own company, multiplied his income, and created opportunities he never would have seen from within his self-imposed boundaries. Your potential follows a simple rule. It expands to fill the space you give it. When you set small goals, you get small results. When you remove the ceiling entirely, you tap into capabilities you didn't know you possessed. The Ceiling Breaker Protocol provides a systematic approach to shattering your limitations. First, identify your current ceiling, the level of success that feels like your natural limit. Then, question every assumption that supports that ceiling. Is it really the maximum, or just the maximum you've allowed yourself to imagine? Next, implement the 10x vision. Look at your current goals. Whatever they are, multiply them by 10. Notice the immediate resistance you feel. That's your ceiling trying to maintain itself. Push through it. Finally, create external pressure that forces growth. Share your expanded goals publicly. Invest resources that make retreat impossible. Put yourself in situations where your only option is to rise to a higher level. Your challenge. For the next 30 days, push yourself 10% harder in everything. See how far you can go when you stop playing small. Conclusion. You've reached the end of this audiobook, but this isn't an ending. It's a beginning. When you first opened this audiobook, you were someone who recognized their potential but hadn't yet claimed it. You knew success was possible but weren't sure how to make it inevitable. Now you stand at a different threshold entirely. Think back to where you started. You were carrying limiting beliefs about what was possible, hesitating when opportunity called, letting fear dictate your choices. You were playing by rules that kept you small, waiting for permission to succeed, believing that talent and luck determined outcomes. You've learned the same truth. Success isn't a matter of chance. It's a matter of choice. Every chapter has equipped you with tools to make that choice real. The mindset shifts that eliminate hesitation. The confidence-building techniques that make bold action automatic. The strategic frameworks that turn setbacks into fuel. The transformation you've undergone isn't just about acquiring knowledge. It's about becoming someone new. You're no longer the person who needs permission to succeed. You're no longer trapped by limiting beliefs or paralyzed by fear. You've stolen the mindset that makes success inevitable. But here's what matters now. What will you do with this transformation? Knowledge without action is worthless. Potential without execution is wasted. You now have everything you need to create the success you've always wanted. The only question is, will you use it? This isn't just about taking action. It's about declaring who you've become. It's about proving to yourself that you're no longer the person who waits, who hesitates, who plays small. You're someone who moves with purpose, who creates opportunities, who makes success inevitable. The tools are in your hands. The mindset is in your possession. The time for transformation is now. What will you do with it? Thank you for listening and for investing in yourself. I believe in you. Your potential is endless. Now go out there and create the life you deserve.